Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Down Roll. That's right, we keep making them, whether you like it or not. Now, today, we have a very special topic. And it's special.
Why is it special?
It's special because you make a rash assumption when coming up with this topic. And the topic is, why is homebrewing monsters a good thing? And you're assuming that it is a good thing.
I know it's a good thing, so there's no assumption in it.
Maybe not everyone agrees with you.
Well, they're wrong.
Wow. This is the first definitive stance you've taken on anything in the 18 episodes that we've done of the Down Roll.
I am pretty wishy-washy, aren't
It's the first time you've ever... You know what? I am now inclined to agree with you because you've stood your ground and said, God damn it, this is the right answer.
It's the best way. I'm telling you. And it just gets... There's no wrong to it. It just gets righter and righter depending on how you look at it.
Wow, now you're...
How about that? I know. Now I'm just confusing everything.
Anyway, what is homebrewing a monster? Isn't that the same as just creating new ones?
It can be, yes. 100%. It can be.
This is where you get wishy-washy.
Yes.
It can be, but it's not always necessarily that way.
It depends.
It's such a good run there for like 35 seconds.
I was going to say it wasn't even a minute. Yes, creating your own monsters is homebrewing. And
that's got to be hard to do with all of the monsters that have already been created.
Well, you don't have to do it that way necessarily. You can take See, everybody automatically thinks when you talk about homebrewing monsters, the number one they think is just like you did. You're like, creating your own monster? Although you got to go through all that work.
I'm going to show people a little
bit. I read it into it.
I didn't think that at all. I just read what was on the screen.
Yes, but anyway. So, see, you ruined it.
There's
this whole illusion of what's going on.
The illusion is everything that I'm saying, including right now, is written down in front of me. I have no original thought, guys. None whatsoever.
We need the Johnny Carson. Oh gosh, if I say that, nobody's going to know what I'm talking about anymore.
Because
the talk shows, none of the talk shows use the cards anymore. Did you know that? Because they all have the teleprompters and stuff.
Of course. My God, it's 2000. It's almost 2020, and you're looking for cue cards?
Yes. Remember, who was that? Was that Letterman that used? No, it was the guy from the Scotsman used to tear him up.
No, that was Letterman. Well, so Letterman had his little cards, but he also would you'd always see the cue card, and he would talk to the cue card guy.
Yeah,
I think.
Anyway,
it was the only one I watched, so it had to have been Letterman.
Before Adam distracted me. So
yeah. So what the fuck is homebrewing monsters?
Most people think when you're talking about homebrewing monsters, the first thing they think of is, like you were saying, creating your own from scratch. Okay, getting a monster, coming up with the idea, giving it its stat block, coming up with any special actions or powers, whatever. And you don't have to do that all. Just homebrew existing monsters. Take them, change them up a little bit, and turn them into something that either, one, more suits what you think that they should be like, two, just makes them a better fit for someplace or what have you, or three, just to, and this is my favorite, and this is the number one reason I suggest doing it, to fuck with your players. Number one reason, because, and this is where the answer gets righter and righter, experienced players know monsters.
They're going to know, just studying the monster manual.
Well, and if you play long enough,
Volo's Guide to Monsters. So you've been playing forever, and you didn't know what a Deep Scion was.
No,
you still didn't put it in the adventure. This would have been a great adventure for Deep Scions. Would have fucked us up.
I'm still not going to do it. But that's what you do. You take existing monsters and you put a spin on them. For example, this is an extremely simple version of how you can do it.
Sure, we're just easing into this, though. We're easing into our conversation and easing into homebrewing monsters.
Correct. Just take a goblin.
Give him wings and fire breath.
Not even that. Just take a goblin,
6 arms,
make it purple. That's it.
well,
Don't do anything else. When your players encounter it, don't call it a goblin. Just say describe what they look like and tell them they're purple, and watch each and every one of them go, what the hell is that? You know, whereas if they were like, they walked up,
it's a goblin with something obstructing its airways.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there you go.
What's the point of that, though?
It is to keep...
Just to throw the players off so they don't metagame?
That's part of it. And depending on your groups, some groups are notorious for this. I mean, it's really hard not to meta against things that you know.
Although we've played in some pretty good groups where people know exactly what's going on and still will do the wrong thing because their characters don't.
That's true. We have.
And it's been kind of surprising, actually.
We have. We've also had people come up against creatures and automatically start doing stuff that, you know, and I love this reasoning.
Was that Jairus?
No,
I'm just
I don't. Unlike you, I don't name names. I love you, Jairus. Anyway, so
just because it's not
I know.
Anymore.
The thing of it is some players just automatically start doing certain things, and their rationale for best one is trolls or like a regenerating monster, right? Oh, I'm gonna get an oil flask and get some fire, and you know, it's like they start automatically, boom, 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 start doing this stuff, right? The justification is
if you make your troll purple, they won't know what to do.
You know what? It's something that simple could completely throw them off, but the justification that you almost always hear for that is, well, I live in this world and trolls are in this world. There's no reason I shouldn't have heard of trolls. You like how I'm head rolling?
I don't, but you keep going. That's your thing.
And that's their thing. That's how they justify it. I'm like, well, you know what?
Well, I know how to kill every animal here on Earth.
Yeah, but you got a gun. And
I don't actually.
But you know,
I use oil and fire.
Now oil and fire.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, of course, the monsters here on Earth. Well, the animals here on Earth. You know, is a little bit different than the monsters in D&D.
And I actually don't like killing animals.
I know you don't. You're a good.
I'm a vegetarian.
Yeah. Well,
except for fish, because they don't have any right to live.
Yeah, I was gonna say not really, but okay. You're your own brand.
I'm a pseudo vegetarian.
There you go. Yeah, but yeah, so there is an awful lot of meta, and to tell you the truth, for one, yes, but for another, if you're going away, if it's not just a meta thing, it's to keep things different and spiced up. Like I've got some different ideas I've already started formulating for how I'm going to run stuff in the Bone March campaign when we start playing that.
I don't know what that is. Do I know about this?
It's the next.
Are you breaking news here on the down roll?
No, I've mentioned it, but
I don't really listen to you.
I know.
In or out of game, apparently.
The Bone March campaign is the next Greyhawk campaign.
Oh,
the one that we're going to do after.
We spend a lot of time. Again, we're going to go behind the scenes. We spend a lot of time chatting, like throughout the week.
Yes.
None of this sounds familiar to me.
I know. That's okay. It's all right. I'm used to it. Why would you remember that when you can't remember a single? If I say name one NPC besides Hardchuck, go.
I was going to say Hardchuck.
I know you were. That's why I took him out. He's the one you know.
Oh, what's his name? The guy with the.
I don't know. That's what I'm waiting for you to tell me.
The drow-looking guy.
Yeah, what's his name?
It's not Brian.
No.
Ned.
There you go. Okay, ding, ding. You pass. Okay.
I could not name any. Oh, Oceanus is another.
Oceanus was another one. Correct. Okay, good job.
Salus was one from a previous
Salus?
campaign.
Okay, see, now you're on a roll.
Now don't ask me to name the other player characters because I don't think I can do that.
Oh, good times.
So, what are some easy monsters to homebrew?
Take your common everyday. There is, and every DM has these. You're going to have like a staple of different types of monsters that you enjoy using. Like I
deep
like
scions.
kobolds.
I know. Why do you like kobolds so much?
Because I like throwing. Now you notice, for as much as I like kobolds, you
You
guys
never use them. We've never fought a kobold since.
Well, you
we've been
had a
playing.
chance to, and you didn't. But the only time you encountered the kobolds was back in Rook Roost when you were changed into kobolds. But
Oh yeah, because we also would not go into their sewers. Is that
exactly,
where we were gonna?
asshole. Yeah, that's where you're gonna fight them. So anyway, the so you'll have a stable of monsters that you enjoy using that you pull out a lot. Another one that I use quite a bit is I tend to use hobgoblins over orcs.
You do like a lot of hobgoblins.
Although I'll use orcs, but take these monsters for example, and then alter them slightly. And it was like I was referring to earlier with a goblin. Taking a goblin and just simply changing the color of the goblin, okay, that alters it to the point. Now, I also will impress that you shouldn't use the same name. They could be a goblin or a type of goblin just when they if a player if a player ever asks you what is that monster, you can have them roll, but don't ever just tell them unless they've experienced it before. Yeah. Now, you can change the color. Another really good way of doing it is to change up the common misconception. Well, not misconceptions, but the common perception of the monster. So we're going to take an orc this time. Now, what if we were to take orcs and change their demeanors? They're not slovenly, give them the same disposition, well-spoken, well-dressed, they're not savages. If you were to do something like that,
the thugs in the Sin City graphic novels.
Yeah, I could give you that for sure.
Do you know what I'm talking about, or are you just yesing me to death?
Yeah, Frank Miller, man.
Okay.
I read those originally when they came out.
Okay.
So I dropped off about halfway through this.
Yeah, they got sucky after a while.
Yeah, he just kept making them. But so the just changing up something simple like that. Another good way. Now take, for example, this is a really good way of messing with characters and yet keeping things fresh. Make all of your dragons green. Just all of them, across the board. Doesn't matter.
You don't know what kind of
they're all different shades.
Weapon they have.
Different types of breath weapon, their demeanors, all this different stuff. No one will have a clue as to how that monster's going to react. They won't even know if it's a good dragon or a bad dragon.
Right.
See, because now it's color coded for you that you don't fuck up.
They do.
Oh, he's red. Okay, cool. Let's get that guy. You know what I mean?
So make them like brownish green, like a lizard.
Exactly. Make them different, and
make them have
tones.
Spells because they should be.
Yeah, I'm definitely down with spells. But that is something.
You're not really home-brewing anything.
That is home brewing. I
mean, I guess in the strictest sense.
Now, of course, if you want to create a particular monster, by all means, go ahead and do that. But my recommendation would always be first, before you go through the entire, process of creating something from scratch, take a look and see if there's something out there that already exists that's similar to your idea, and then just tweak it.
That's already been play tested.
Yeah, well, and I'm not so worried so much about the play testing part of it, because this is going to go into something that I'm sure we're going to talk about here really soon, is in that you as the dungeon master have the ability to make it beatable or unbeatable on the fly during the thing. So I'm not worried about that part of it so much.
Now you're talking about dice fudging?
Dice fudging, hit point fudging, armor class fudging, all of the above. We should talk
about that one day, because that's a topic that I see a lot.
It is. Mm-hmm.
So how do you know when it's necessary to homebrew a monster?
Definitely, if you're playing with a group that is well experienced. Here's an example, and they don't do it, but if you go and you watch Lord Gasumba's stream, okay, that's the guys that have the 40-year campaign,
Sure.
first/second edition hybrid game. When you're watching them play, monsters will pop up. Okay. And lots of times you'll see them starting the guessing game starts. And like if it's something, obvious, it's like, oh, it's an orc. And like, oh, okay. Like some other monster pops up, you'll hear this guy start going, oh, that's a so-and-so. It's like, no, it's not. It's a this and that. And it's like, oh yeah, that's what it boom. Within like 5 guesses, they got it. They know what it is. And they know what its weaknesses are.
That monster is what they're playing.
Yeah, but then, this then puts it onto them, all of this, where they have to try extra not to meta. You know what I'm saying? If you've got
it's hard to do because
it can be, yeah for sure, because you forget yourself even in the middle of battle. You know what I mean? So if you've got a group that is that way, okay, or if you've got a group, this is another way that it happens, aside just regular experience, if you play with a bunch of other people that are also dungeon masters. They're just not a dungeon. Some groups even take turns, but these are people that have access and do a lot of that behind the scenes sort of stuff. So you want to change it around. I do that all the time with Michael. I change some little things,
because Michael knows a lot of stuff.
He does. And so like you'll hear Michael every once in a while goes, well, this certain spell does this and that. And I go, I know. It's like, I know. And I change stuff up all the time. It's a great way of keeping it fresh and keeping people on their toes, and changes just the dynamics of things completely. Like I said, that dragon example is probably one of the biggest examples I could give. Make them all the same color, and wow, what happens then?
Now, what about...
Do you attack all the dragons regardless? You don't want to attack good dragons.
I don't know if they're good or not. It's like a spider. You see a spider, you're going to step on it.
I don't step on spiders.
What?
Mister, I'm a vegetarian.
I don't fucking eat spiders, you savage.
I don't eat them either, but they kill the other bugs.
I know they do, and they're good for that. But at the same time, those webs, they're always I'm fairly tall. They're always face level for me. So there are people that will walk right under them, and then I go right into them.
Hold on a second. Everybody listening. Fairly tall. Now we're going to get the definition of this. Hey, Adam, what's fairly tall?
I'm like 5'11" and a half.
Okay. Yeah,
that's fairly tall. I'm not tall.
Fairly tall. We'll take it. We'll get it.
But I'm not short. I'm fairly tall.
Fairly tall. All right. Now we have...
I'm above average. Well, what do you think an average height is for a guy?
I think average height for a guy is 5'8", 5'9".
Right. So I'm fairly tall by being 5'11" and a half.
I used to be 5'11".
I used to be 5'11" and 3/4. I've shrunk a quarter of an inch.
I've shrunk a whole inch, dude. Wow. I'm 5'10" now. Yeah, I know, right? Wow. Hard living will do that to you.
I guess so. So, what about bosses? Should you homebrew bosses too?
It's probably more important to homebrew your bosses than the regular monsters.
Why?
Because bosses... Okay, groups... when they're playing, have different gears. And you'll see this. And this is another reason that you should homebrew your stuff.
What do you mean by the gears?
Okay. So, parties, just monkeying around. Boom, they run into kobolds. Run into a group of kobolds.
Right.
Are they going to get really worried?
No.
They're just going to get right at it. See what I'm saying?
Just thinking about it, yeah.
Yep. Now, you go through and you run into a pack of gnolls. Okay, it's definitely better than the kobolds. We're going to definitely get a little bit, you run into a group of ogres.
Yeah.
You run into a group of hill giants. Now, here's the thing. You've been playing for a while, and you're getting to, everybody knows a lot of this stuff comes telegraphed. You know that the big bad's coming up. Right? and you get to the big bad fight. Now, let's say, for example, the big bad is a red dragon. Now they know, they already have something in their head and know what to expect and how to act. Even if they're not really metaing it, it's back here. You know what I mean? It's going to dictate different things. But let's say you have them come and meet the big bad, and you took that red dragon and you took away his wings, made him flightless, okay? Gave him a burrow ability, okay?
I was thinking
changed his color.
Spanish
made him
for
brown.
donkey, which was gave him a burrow.
No, the burrow. No, the burrow ability. The ability to dig.
I got it now, yeah. But I was just thinking, all right, here's a flightless brown dragon with a donkey.
Right?
That would throw off any party right off the bat.
Okay, I'd give you that. Yeah, that would. First of all, of course it's flightless. But so now there you go. You've totally changed the complexity of that boss fight. And not by much. All you did were change a couple of things. You made the monster something that they're not going to know what it is. And unless you tell them, it's a red dragon, I just changed him. Which, if you do that, you're a moron, because this is the whole point of changing them is so that they don't know.
Usually I'm the hostile one on this show. This
right, I know.
I'm very angry.
I'm getting there. See, I guess I obviously need some sweets or something. But so, and there you go. So now how they're going to fight this thing is going to be different. Or you can do this too. I don't do this myself because it's just not generally the way I roll. Let's say we'll take that same example. They go up against the big bad. Okay. Red dragon, wings, color, whole 9 yards. Breath weapons, and out comes a cone of cold. You know what I mean? You can change them up that way. That's a little bit more hokier, and it doesn't really help so much with the immersion process. People see that, and their first thing they're going to go is, whatever, red dragons don't do that. Okay, you're just changing them up now. That's fine. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Right, you're just changing it to change it.
Exactly.
Whereas if you made this red dragon purple... No,
actually, that's still legit. If it's a purple, then they're like, well, what's a purple?
What does purple do?
Well, there's an amethyst dragon. Maybe they're going to start automatically they're going to jump to a conclusion and think, well, maybe it's that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So when is it? I'm gonna throw a curveball for you here.
Okay.
When is it not a good time to homebrew a monster?
When you're trying to telegraph to players something, or you're trying to reinforce the story, the background of the world, things along these lines. For example, when we did Return to the Banded Kingdoms, there was a lot of orcs running around. Well, there was a reason for that. Orcs were reinforcing the story, reinforcing the world and the environment in which it was at, and where that story was taking place. The monsters, as well as NPCs, like the people in the villages and in the cities and stuff along these lines, the monsters should fit the overall story as well. Now you can move your home brews into that and make them part of that, but that's when home brewing, I think, is not necessary. Also, too, if you want the fight to be easier for the characters, you definitely don't want to homebrew, because you want to give them that wink wink nudge nudge advantage on something.
Or if you don't know what you're doing, like if you're new,
there is that.
And I think that's a lot of things that I see on some of these like Facebook pages and stuff like that. I'm a new DM and I want to do this, and it's this weird monster that that they're creating out of their head when they've never played a regular monster that is play tested, that has all the stats out there, that what levels of characters to fight, or my player wants to play pixie who has ice powers.
Yes One of the, and you know what, and that is, like I was going to say, one of the easier ways to homebrew something is homebrewing. Well, I shouldn't say easier. Homebrew off the cuff. It's actually for more experienced, and I do this all the time. And the easiest way you can do it is adjust the hit points. Let's say you throw your characters your adventurers up against some monsters, and they're just cutting them down. Well, the next couple of guys, or like you can see, it's like, holy crap, they're going to kill all these guys real quick. Just go ahead and bump up those hit points a little bit on them. You don't have to say anything. You don't go, just make it. Let's say the monsters, just for example, have 20 hit points, and they're like one-shotting these guys, and that's like, damn. Well, they're going to just walk through these guys. Maybe I should bump it up. Let's bump them up to 30, maybe 40 hit points. You don't do anything else to them. You don't change their hits or anything like that. You just increase their hit points. Or if the guy's too tough and he's way, just the monsters are just laying low the adventurers, drop their hit points. You can just drop it a little bit so they die easier. Or drop the AC. Like, man, they can't hit this guy at all. So maybe I should make the next guy I'll drop his AC. That's when you're going to get it. You have to be careful with how you do it, though, too, because you don't ever want the players to know that you're doing that. Right. You just like, oh, wow, that was a boss, and those other guys must have been the underlings.
Right. I'm still pretty sure that when we played The Rise of Tiamat, that Michael nerfed Tiamat's hit points in there.
Yeah, Michael nerfed Tiamat pretty good for us.
Because now some of it was lucky rolls, which was the only reason we were still in the game anyway, because most of us were knocked unconscious, except for one guy who kept rolling natural 20s. Yeah. 3 times in a row, I'm pretty sure that it was.
Yeah.
But at that point, I think all of a sudden, Tiamat's hit points went way down.
Yeah, and that's essentially what you got right there.
But the way that he did it was a way that it wasn't painfully obvious.
Right.
And it was still, when that guy who, rolled his third, nat 20 in a row, popped up, shot Tiamat with this magic dragon arrow, whatever the hell it was, and killed him. It was an exciting moment.
Exactly. And that's the thing, too. It's like, this is why you have to be careful with it. You're not just being careful with off-the-cuff homebrew of the monsters or altering the monsters because you don't want to piss the players off. You also don't want to water down their accomplishment. Mm-hmm. You want them to still have the satisfaction of, we did it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And if they know that, well, you did it because I knocked 60 hit points off. It's like they're not going to be too cool with that.
In reality, I did it. You didn't do it.
There you go. That's true.
So what do you guys think? Put down in the comments if you haven't already. Do you think homebrewing monsters is a good thing, like Will DM does? Do you not? Are you going to be wishy-washy like Will usually is and say, well, maybe this or maybe that?
Usually. I don't think I'm wishy-washy. I think
this is the very first time, and even immediately afterward, you started to be wishy-washy again.
No, I look at all the angles, man. That's what it is.
Wishy-washy.
Yeah, okay.
On that note, bye.
Bye.